Hi, my name is Justin, aka Ghost Reader, and today I am going to be doing my POC recommendations video. If you guys are joining in the POCathon or you haven't heard about the POCathon yet, the POCathon is basically a readathon that is being hosted by myself, Min and Min Kobayashi, Kevin at Storyglyph, Diana in Colors, and Paola Messera. And basically, what we're doing is from August 12th to August 19th, we are encouraging people to read books by and featuring main characters that are people of color. So basically, this is a video where I'm going to give you some recommendations for what you can read during the POCathon. I also have a recommendations thread on Twitter as well that I'm still working on. Life's been pretty busy, so that's why this video and the thread itself, which is not complete, is coming out kind of late. But here I am, and I'm ready to give you guys some good recommendations that you can read during the POCathon. Now, I haven't read all of these books myself, but I've either have heard good things about them, or I've read good things about them. And so some of these books I have read, but some of them I have not. And will let you guys know whether or not I personally read them or not, so you can know, just full disclosure beforehand. So my first recommendation is going to be Kindred by Octavia Butler. And basically this book is about a African American woman who is thrown back in time to the early 1800s. She lands on a plantation where she discovers that the plantation is run by an ancestor of hers, and that her ancestor and one of the slaves who has yet to be born will be her mother. Will be like, they will get together and they will have a child who is her ancestor. So basically she has to find a way to survive this new surrounding, this new world, which she has to get used to after living in the modern era, and also protecting her ancestors at the same time. So this was a really good read. I read it myself. I read it in February. Amazing read. Octavia Butler is very well known for her sci-fi writing. She's an African American author. She's no longer with us, but she did a really good job with this. I would encourage you to look at more of her work if you like Kindred. Next book that I'm going to talk about is Go by Kazuki Kaneshiro. And let me see, it's a translated work, and it was translated by Tagami Nida. I will be reading this myself during the readathon, and basically this is about a Korean boy who lives in Japan, but no one knows he's Korean. He keeps that a secret. He falls in love with a Japanese girl, and through a series of events, he ends up telling her that he is Korean. And at this point, she has to decide whether or not she can get past her prejudice and bias, and he has to decide who he's going to be. These are teenagers, so it's a coming of age story. I've heard good things about it, and that's why I will be reading it this month. If you're looking for a coming of age story, I think this would be a good one. Next is a fiction book, a book of fiction called Darktown, but it's inspired by the true story of the first five African American cops that were on the Atlanta police force. It's written by Thomas Mullen. He himself is not a person of color, but I thought this was a really good book. I read this myself in January, and it basically features these 5 black guys as they try to be policemen, and then try to balance being policemen while being viewed as their communities as kind of sellouts, proud by some people, but kind of a sellout, while the white community doesn't trust them, and they themselves are working in the basement of YMCA instead of the actual police office, the police station, because they're black and they don't deserve to be in the same police station. They also are basically told to patrol the black part of town and to stay in that area. So I found this to be a really good story. There's a mystery at the center of it, which drives the story, and it was really good. And I also want to read the second book that he wrote as well. I forget what it's called, but Thomas Mullen did a really good job with this book, and I think it'll be a good read as well. Another book that I would recommend is The Last Prayers of Ricki Graves. This book does include suicide, so if you're sensitive to that, I would just let you know beforehand. It is by James Han Matheson. He's born in Korea but raised here in the United States. And this basically covers the aftermath of a murder-suicide in which a boy who was cyberbullied takes his own life and kills one of his tormentors. And basically, it tells the story of his sister and a couple other people who are in Ricki Graves' life through prose, through emails, through texts, and through chat rooms. And basically, it shows them trying to put their lives back together after this horrific event, and what effects they had on Ricki, and the effects of them trying to figure out what to do next. So I really liked this. I read this back in, I think it was December, and it was a really good book by this guy. So if you are not sensitive to like suicide, I think that this would be a good book to read as well. Alright, the next book I'm going to mention is a nonfiction book, and it is The Fire Next Time by James Baldwin. I also read this in February, and basically it's about race relations here in America as it was in the 1960s, and also him looking forward to what it should be like in the future. And basically the first part of it is him writing a letter to his nephew, talking about where we have come from and where we had gotten to up to that point in American history, and how much further we had to go. And then the second part is him describing his life and how he came to believe certain things that he believed, and where he believed race relations would be going in the future, and how we should get there. And this was a really, really good, interesting read. This actually was my first time reading James Baldwin, and I really, really found his writing quite profound. So I really want to read more James Baldwin in the future, and I think this is actually a very good first exposure to James Baldwin if you haven't read him before. Another nonfiction book that I think is good, would be good to read. I haven't read it myself, but I heard it was good, and they also did a Netflix adaptation of it. It's a nonfiction book, and it's called First They Killed My Father by Luong Ung, I believe her name is. Hope I didn't butcher that. And basically it's about her experiences in Cambodia during the communist Pol Pot regime, where basically the communists came into the cities. They told all the people in the city to get out and move to the countryside, and a lot of the bad stuff happened along the way. So of course there are some trigger warnings associated with this book as well, but basically it talks about her experiences in surviving the communist takeover in Cambodia. There was also, like I said, a Netflix adaptation of this, which I didn't finish because I got distracted and totally forgot about it until I saw this book, looking up this recommendations video. But I think it may be something good to read, and also you get a good look at history firsthand in Southeast Asia. Next book I'm going to recommend is a graphic novel. Is a collection of comic books, graphic novel, and that is Miss Marvel Volume 1. And basically this is a superhero who is Pakistani. She lives in New Jersey, which is one reason why I put this on the list. And she is she's a superhero with the ability to stretch her body into different sizes, and she is trying to be a hero while navigating teenage life. And she has played, since her debut, she has played many important roles in the comics. She's part of a couple of superhero teams, so this would be a good introduction to her character by reading volume 1 of this series. I haven't read it myself, but I have read other works with her in it, and I do indeed like the character. So my next recommendation is also a graphic novel, and that is Miles Morales' The Ultimate Spider-Man Ultimate Collection. And it's not so much a graphic novel as a collection of different comics books with Miles Morales in it. And Miles Morales is a black/Puerto Rican superhero who basically takes on the mantle of Spider-Man after Spider-Man is killed in the Ultimate Universe, I believe. And so Miles Morales has actually been a pretty popular character. He himself has moved over into the main Marvel Universe, and has also joined a couple superhero teams as well. And he's a white light character, and so I think this would be a good introduction to his character if you haven't read anything associated with him before, but want to learn more about the character. So that's it for this video. I thank you for watching. Thank you for joining me on the POCathon. If you aren't, that's okay too. Just throughout the year, just keep in mind to read some books by people of color, and to support them in their endeavors. And so what are you guys reading for the POCathon? Let me know down in the comment section below. Actually, if you have any recommendations, please put them down in the comment section below as well, for others can find those recommendations and probably find something good to read. So if you like this video, please let me know by hitting the like button. You can follow, if you want to see more videos from me, please subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at GhostReads28, and you can follow me on Goodreads. That link is down in the description box below. So guys, as always, keep reading.